My God, I hate drugs.
Nahuli na sa Taiwan ang drug suspect na si Ozame City Councilor Ardot Parojinog matapos ang 10 buwang pagtatago. Inilagay siya ng immigration sa lookout order noong 2017 matapos umanong makatakas sa raid na isinagawa ng mga pulis sa kanilang bahay. Sa nasabing operasyon, nasawi ang kanyang kapatid na si Ozame City Mayor Ardot Parojinog Sr. na iniugnay ni Pangulong Duterte sa droga. Nahuli si Parojinog matapos madiskubre na wala siyang dokumento at peke ang ID niya sa Taiwan.
All indications nag-backdoor siya. Yun yung information na nag-gather natin. Nag-backdoor siya, true backdoor siya.
Saan siya dumanto?
Doon sa remember, doon sa kanila, from there, pwede kang magbangka.
Consumers say they're having to spend more money for fewer things as the prices of goods continue to rise. Some are blaming the increase on the recently passed Tax for Acceleration and Inclusion Law, more commonly known as the Train Law. But the government denies this. Details from Arcian Arcangel.
Marina Catu has junked condiments and other items from her shopping list to maximize her grocery budget. She now buys only the most important household items, mindful that she's living on her husband's pension and a stipend from a child. She bemoans the price spike of goods and blames the new tax law since it took effect January this year.
Kailangan ngayon, dahil dyan sa train long yan, malaki ang mo, kailangan konti higpit ng sinduron. Dati, yung 8 nagiging 12. Yung 4 na piso nagiging 5 piso, kaya kailangan mag-budget ka maigi.
But the Trade and Industry Department claims the train law's effect on basic goods is minimal, a mere 4 to 25 centavos. Trade Undersecretary Ruth Castelo blames other factors for the higher prices of basic goods.
Kaya lang naman natin ramdam ngayon yung pagtaas ng presyo dahil sa mga ibang factors pa na alam naman natin tumaas ang presyo ng raw materials sa global market, tumaas ang presyo ng krudo, fluctuating ang value ng peso against the dollars.
Based on CNN Philippines research, the cost of a liter of diesel has gone up by 7 pesos and 30 centavos from January 2 to May 22 this year. The price of gasoline also rose by 6 pesos and 70 centavos over the same period. A separate study by the Finance Department shows the tax reform law only accounted for 0.4% of April's 5-year high inflation rate of 4.5%. This means that for every peso increase in prices, only 9 centavos can be attributed to the law. Other factors, including profiteering, accounted for 0.7% of the inflation rate. So far, DTI hasn't caught any supermarkets selling basic goods above their suggested retail prices or SRPs. Members of the Consumer Protection Group even found a supermarket in Alabang which sells products 1 peso cheaper than the SRP.
Halos naman lahat ng supermarkets na pinupuntahan natin nasa SRP siya. Kung hindi siya eksakto sa SRP, merong konting or bahagyang pagbaba. Pwede naman palang ibaba sa SRP. At sigurado naman ako sa ganito kalaki na tindahan, meron pa rin silang profit.
Castelo admits DTI can say if prices of basic goods will continue to rise in the coming months since oil prices and the peso to dollar exchange rates are erratic. The Finance Department, meanwhile, has said prices may become stable later this year as supply adjusts to the rise in demand due to higher consumer spending.
We believe it is transitory because, there will be initial reaction, then people adjust by law of supply and demand.
But for now, consumers like Catu will just have to bite the bullet and resort to creative budgeting to make ends meet. Cian Arcangel, CNN Philippines.
Months since the train law's implementation, some lawmakers are calling for its repeal, but the Finance Department is resisting such calls.
All the President's promises will not be funded. A lot is at stake, and we have infrastructure, free SUC tuition to deliver, and all the budget priorities. You lose credibility, and you lose all the hard-won reform and credit rating that you have achieved.
The department also says government cannot suspend the excise tax on fuel. This is contrary to an earlier pronouncement of Malacanang. Finance Undersecretary Carl Chua says what can be suspended is the second tranche of increase in the fuel excise tax set next year. But this can only happen when the average Dubai crude oil price reaches $80 per barrel from October to December this year, or 3 months before the next scheduled increase. The House Ways and Means Committee is reviewing the impact of the train law. Congress only has 3 session days left to take up the bill repealing the train law before it goes on a 2-month break. The country's global competitiveness rating decreased significantly this year, according to an international business school. The IMD World Competitiveness Center says the Philippines had the most notable decline in the Asia-Pacific region. In its latest World Competitive Rankings, the Philippines fell by 9 places to 50th in a ranking that included 63 countries. The IDB explains factors for the drop include a decline in tourism, employment, and concerns about the education system. But the government says they are already addressing these issues. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque says the government has measures in place. These include the Build, Build, Build projects and the continuation of the K-12 program. Later on in the program, we will be speaking with National Competitiveness Council Head Bill Luz and Socio-Economic Planning Secretary Ernesto Perña on how this development will affect ordinary Filipinos. Mindanao remains under martial law a year since the Marawi siege. That despite the military saying it achieved significant gains in addressing the region's security problems. Our senior correspondent David Santos joins us from Marawi. David, what is the Defense Department saying on the calls of some sectors to lift martial law?
But tonight, defense officials are saying martial law in Mindanao will likely stay until its extended time, which is until the end of the year. But Defense Secretary Delfin Lorenzana also saying today that they will again assess the security situation here in Mindanao in the next 2 months. Then they could decide whether to recommend for the lifting of the martial law declaration. But if Armed Forces Chief Carlito Galvez will have his way, he would choose to keep Mindanao under martial law, since he says this is the feedback he is getting from the residents in this region.
Meron pang 80% kaming mga firearms na nakuha. Kung 6,000 lang ang nakuha namin, that's only, I believe, 10% pa lang ang nakukuha namin. We need to get all the 80% of the firearms.
Now, calls to lift martial law in Mindanao come as Marawi marks the first year since the siege, the country's longest and most brutal in recent history. Lorenzana, as well as military officials who led the recapture of Marawi last year, gathered here in Marawi around noon today for a memorial ceremony.
Technical Sergeant Jesse B. Santos, Philippine Army. Private First Class Angelo A. Estares Jr., Philippine Army. Private Junibert R. Turlas, Philippine Army. Private Ruel M. Cabonita Jr., Philippine Army. Staff Sergeant Joseph P. Villanueva, Philippine Army. Private First Class John A. Vista, Philippine Army. Sergeant Adonis Lloyd Demon Army. Private First Class Robert A. Mangharal Jr., Philippine Army. Corporal Aljun N. Jadil, Philippine Army. Corporal Ardni O. Engo, Philippine Army. Corporal Ricky A. Asan. Technical Sergeant Jesse B. Santos.
The names you've been hearing that are being read out are part of the 165 soldiers and policemen who died in the 5-month-long campaign here in Marawi. A temporary monument was built inside the Army's 103rd Brigade headquarters dedicated to the fallen. Now, looking back, Secretary Lorenzana says there are many lessons from the Marawi siege. For one, he says there was failure in their intelligence protocols.
Siguro hindi nila nasabi na yung magnitude or the risk or yung pagkakadelikado ng bandito sila. So maraming bagay yan eh. So it is a wake-up call and we will do better next time. Well, kung sino man may kamali doon, it's already water in the bridge and under the bridge, hindi na tayo magtuturuan.
Now, as you heard it, Secretary Lorenzana insisting there's no need to hold anyone accountable for this crucial and deadly mistake here in Marawi. Now, Lorenzana represented President Duterte during the closing ceremony of the Marawi Week of Peace, which coincides with the first anniversary of the siege. He apologized for the president's absence, but also explained the president would rather commemorate Marawi's liberation in October. Ina.
So David, going back to what Secretary Lorenzana was talking about earlier, what is his department, the Defense Department, doing to avoid another intelligence lapse? Have they identified areas in the country that are as vulnerable to attack as Marawi?
Now, for one, security forces remain relentless, as they say, in going after remaining Maute members. Authorities are hunting down Abu Dar, whom they say was the sole survivor among 9 Maute leaders and managed to escape from the battle zone. Now, Secretary Lorenzana says Abu Dar can potentially reintegrate the group, recruit new members, and launch more attacks in Mindanao. Now, some Mindanao cities have been initially identified as vulnerable to terror threats. Zamboanga City, which has come under siege by rebel groups twice, is among these areas. Now, the Defense Department is teaming up with the Interior Department to hold a series of training workshops for local government units and local officials in closely working with the military and police. And this way, Lorenzana says a repeat of the Marawi siege could be avoided, as well as the unnecessary destruction of properties and loss of lives. Ina.
Thank you, our senior correspondent David Santos reporting live from Marawi.